I'm Laila Agha, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Sindhi American Political Action Committee inaugural event. Tonight we'll hear from our distinguished speakers as we learn about the role of Sindhis and Balochis to counter jihadis in Pakistan. Let me take a moment to welcome our speakers. Tonight we have Mr. Selig Harrison, the Honorable Congressman Gary Ackerman, the Honorable Congressman Brad Sherman, and Dr. Marvin Weinbaum, who will all be sharing with us later this evening. So welcome and thank you. As a Sindhi American, I am thrilled that the Sindhi American Political Action Committee has formed. I dream of a secular and thriving democratic state in Pakistan. I see great potential for American foreign policy to help achieve this goal by encouraging the education, world knowledge, and empowerment of the traditionally secularist and liberal Sufi Sindhis. I believe that we can end the spread of madrasas and extremism currently tacitly supported by the Pakistani government in my family's homeland.
Hello, my name is Hanne Bursch, and I'm thrilled to be standing in front of so many compassionate and distinguished guests. I welcome you all to the SAPAC inaugural event. Working for the past year on ethnic and women's issues in Pakistan, I am always shocked by the state of gross inequality reaching the Sindhi and Baloch population. U.S. policies have thus far been ineffective in assisting these people, and there is a great need for SAPAC. It is imperative to the advancement of Pakistan that the Sindhi nation is better represented in the formation of U.S. policies, and I am thankful to my friends at SAPAC for taking this challenge on.
Sindh is one of 4 provinces in Pakistan, home to 40 million people. Despite its large population, thriving capital, and rich natural resources and cultural heritage, it receives a negligible amount of public services and has limited access to foreign aid. This ethnic persecution has led to extreme poverty in the region. I would like to now introduce Mr. Selig Harrison to speak. He is the director of the Asia Program Center for International Policy in Washington, D.C., and a senior fellow of the Woodrow Wilson Center for International Scholars. Formerly a Washington Post correspondent in South Asia, he carries approximately 50 years long experience as a journalist and a scholar on South and East Asia. He has authored 6 books on both regions and on U.S.-East Asia relations, including Pakistan, the State of the Union, April 2009. Welcome, Mr. Harrison. Thank you for joining us.
Well, I am very pleased indeed to be here tonight to help launch the Sindhi American Political Action Committee. As you may know, the governor of Sindh and the mayor of Karachi are now in Washington. I went to a lunch for them yesterday, and there's a dinner for them tonight at the Pakistan Embassy that I declined because I had a previous engagement. Well, I heard their message. Their message is that the MQM is opposed to jihadi forces in Pakistan. And that's true. But what's more important, and what Americans don't realize, and I hope that the SAPAC will help them to realize, is what we're talking about tonight. The strongest and most important bulwark against jihadi forces in Pakistan is the persecuted indigenous Sindhi-speaking majority in Sindh and the brave Baloch who are fighting for their rights next door in Balochistan against ISI and army repression that I believe has become worse, not better, since the election of the present government. The religious traditions of the indigenous Sindhis and the Baloch are incompatible with the type of jihadi ideology that is being promoted by Lashkar-e-Taiba and its allies in the Punjab. And yet, the ISI brands the Sindhis and the Baloch as terrorists to cover up their own sins. I'm going to start by reviewing some basic history about Pakistan, that just so those of you who aren't familiar with all this have it very clearly before you. And of course, my distinguished colleague Marvin Weinbaum knows much more about this history than I do, but I have the first chance to speak. If you haven't read it, you should read an important book called The Shadow of the Great Game, The Untold Story of India's Partition, by Narendra Singh Sarila, a retired Indian diplomat who was the ADC to Mountbatten. He got unprecedented access to the British archives during his research. In his book, he presents detailed, definitive evidence showing that as early as March 1945, Winston Churchill and the British General Staff decided that partition was necessary for strategic reasons. They deliberately set out to create Pakistan because Mr. Jinnah had promised to provide military facilities to them, and Mr. Nehru had refused to do so. So, first of all, this is important to set straight the prevailing image, certainly among Americans, that Hindus and Muslims were just hopelessly quarreling with each other, and the British had no choice but to divide the subcontinent. But this is also the key to understanding why Pakistan is so dysfunctional. And that is because it is an artificial entity, an artificial political entity. The British put together 5 ethnic groups that had never before coexisted in the same body politic historically. The Bengalis, Punjabis, Pashtuns, Baluch, and the Sindhis. 5 became 4, of course, when Bangladesh seceded. The army bequeathed by the British to Pakistan was overwhelmingly dominated by Punjabi officers and soldiers. So, with the Bengalis gone, the Baluch, the Pashtuns, and the Sindhis have faced a cruel historical irony. For centuries, they had resisted the incursions of the Mughals into their territories. But now they find themselves ruled by Punjabis who invoke the grandeur of the Mughals to justify their power. We should remember that the Muslim League movement that led to the creation of Pakistan originated in the Muslim areas of pre-partition India, not in the areas that were to constitute the state of Pakistan, where the Baluch, the Pashtuns, and the Sindhis live. So neither the Baluch nor the Pashtuns supported the Pakistan movement. The Muslim League sought unsuccessfully to win them over by the Lahore Resolution of March 23, 1940, that the projected Pakistani state would be a confederation in which the constituent units would be autonomous and sovereign, and central government powers would be limited to defense, foreign affairs, foreign trade, communications, and currency. But the Baluch fought militarily against their incorporation into Pakistan until the Pakistan Army occupied Baluchistan in 1958. And they have subsequently, as you know, waged 3 insurgencies, I guess now we're in the 4th, to win the autonomy promised in the Lahore Resolution, or failing that autonomy, independence. Now, in contrast to the Baluch and the Pashtuns, some Sindhis did support the Muslim League, and Sindh was incorporated into Pakistan without a military conflict. But Sindhi discontent soon erupted, not only in response to Punjabi domination of the new Pakistan central government as such, but also because Punjabi rule was buttressed in Sindh by an alliance with leaders of the Urdu-speaking Muslim immigrants from India, known as Muhajirs, now the MQM, who gravitated to Karachi and other Sindhi urban centers and soon challenged Sindhi control of local institutions. As all of you here know from personal experience much better than I, but as most Americans don't know, and as I hope that SAPAC will lead them to know, successive central governments have encouraged Pashtun and Punjabi migration to Karachi, and the Sindhis have responded by forging a political alliance with Baluch settlers in the province. And if this